Hi, welcome to Friday Focus Mental Health Matters. I am Jane Smith.
And I'm Danielle Dionne.
And we are really excited to be here today. I love this topic. We are talking about the power of kindness today and why it's so important for our mental health. So, yeah, it's a great subject. And
such a great subject, Jane. And honestly, I'm super excited to talk about this. And I think I just discovered something to focus on for a long while. What I learned is that science actually is saying kindness can heal us and it can heal others when it comes to mental health. So this conversation today is more than just being kind. It's actually how can we get better and how can we make the world better? So it's exciting. It's exciting.
It's like living, I think, living kindness, making kindness your legacy. Just it actually is a really big subject. It seems simple, but it's not. So goodness, I just want to start by sharing a story that really impacted my life about 10 years ago. And I have always remembered it. It completely changed me. It's a little bit hard to share because I feel like I didn't handle something well. So it's about what you don't know that you don't know about people and about what they're going through. So when we're out in the world and we come across people and sometimes they can be angry or act a certain way, it's about not taking it personally and just being kind. And so I worked in a natural health clinic and for years, and I was always the one that the girls would be like, oh, you know, this person's a little grumpy, Jane, you deal with him. And I would be able to connect and always find out their pain. One day a man came in, he was late 70s, and he came in for a treatment, and he rubbed me the wrong way. He came in, he was grumpy, he was not nice. He said something to me that I remember I took like, what is his problem? And I also was not having a great day. I was tired. I wasn't on my best. I just wasn't in the best frame of mind, I guess. And I didn't like him. I decided I didn't like him because he was angry. And so I said to my girlfriend, can you do his treatment? It was a foot bath thing. And she said, sure. So, you know, she set it up. And I said, I'm sorry, but I don't want to clean his feet after this. Can you do it? I just don't like him. And she's like, that is not like you. And I was like, I'm just tired. I can't deal with a grumpy person today. And so then when the beeper went off, she was on the phone and I looked at her like, you had to clean his feet. I don't want to. And she's like, yeah, I'm on the phone. So I went back there, cleaned his feet from this ion cleanse. And then when he came, I was very, what is the word? Very curt, or just got the job done.
Yeah.
I just got the job done. He didn't give him anything. So then he came to pay, and my friend said to me, it's not like you. And I was like, okay, fine. I will make an effort. But I was not happy about it. So this man came up to pay, and I was like, oh, how was your treatment? And he's like, it was good. And I said, so, oh no, I said, what is your name? And he told me his name. And I thought, is your son Trevor? He comes here. And he goes, yeah. And so I had a little connection right there. And I said, oh, you're a grandpa then. You have 2 grandsons. And he said, yeah. And I said, oh, they're so nice. Your grandsons are so cute. And I said, I have a new grandson. And I showed him a picture. So I was making a little connection. And at this point, it was fake because I was just trying to be nice. And then he still was angry and sad and whatever. And so I said, so what brought you in today? And he goes, I'm going to try and say this without crying, Danielle. He looked at me and said, oh, I've been going through a really bad time. And my son told me to come into this clinic because you girls are so loving and compassionate. And I know that you'll really like them. They'll help you. That's what his son told him. My whole inside got almost cold and I felt like, and so I said, what's going on in your life? Why did your son want you to come in here? And he said, well, my wife of 45 years passed away a couple months ago. She was going through cancer, and I nursed her at home, and I held her on the last day when she passed away, and I haven't been able to leave the house since, and I'm just broken. And my son said that you girls are just so loving and kind that I should come in here. I felt so bad inside, and I just looked at him like I said, I'm so sorry you're going through that, and I'm really glad you coming in. And then, and I decided from then on, I would never judge someone else and what their pain is, or just because someone's angry. It's not about me. I took it personally. His anger or what he was going through and this pain he was carrying. It had nothing to do with me. I don't even know why I took it personally. And that's why I decided, just be kind, because you don't know what someone is going through, what has happened in the day. It doesn't mean you let people run all over you, but when there's someone like that, it's just kindness is free. And just so people know, he would come in every week. We developed a friendship. He was a beautiful man. I got close with him, and but I have never forgotten that. And I've always will think, why is that person angry? It's not about me. It's really changed my life.
What a beautiful story, Jane. And I'm wondering what it was that brought his son to think those girls are so kind, because you naturally are kind. So it must have been uncomfortable to have that.
I knew his son well, and we were great. The reason people came into that clinic was because we were so loving, and it was a loving atmosphere. I was tired that day, and I just didn't. I felt it was hard to make the effort, because when someone comes across as if they're not nice or they're angry, you can take it like, well, I haven't done anything wrong. I'm a nice person. Why are you angry with me? But he was carrying so much pain.
Wow.
What you don't
know, you don't know.
What you don't know that you don't know.
That, I think, is such an important quote to remember when we think about kindness. We don't know what people's lives are like. We don't know, sometimes we can have conversations where you don't know, you've never been through that, and oftentimes it's the people that are speaking up we just have no idea what people's lives have been through. And just because somebody's, might look like something, or, we have bias, we bring all kinds of stories and programming into, what people come at us with. And so we just don't know. We just don't know. And when we're kind, like you did, your example there, you took the moment to think about it, reflected, and you uncovered this amazing relationship. And how healing for him to know he could come every week and be surrounded by caring, kind people.
And I think it's making an effort. If you see someone hurting, to just make a connection of some sort. That's how it kind of starts. You have some connection, and then they'll open up, and people being vulnerable and saying, this is what my pain is. Like, for him to look at me and tell me that his wife of 45 years and that he nursed her, and he was lost. He didn't know what to do.
Isn't it incredible that so often we think, we'll hear out there, well, that person's this, or they did that, so they don't deserve kindness. We almost have this like boundary place. Somebody has to be good to receive kindness. And you have to judge people well enough, good, to be kind to them for some reason. And there's a deserving factor there, and I want to just say that I don't think there's any deserving factor when it comes to kindness, that it is about you, right? Like, you be true to you. If you're a kind person, what happens outside of that is not yours, and be still kind.
Yeah.
Right?
And I think during the pandemic, always we should be kind, but during the pandemic, there's a lot of people with a lot of pain. Yes. And what we don't know about their journey through the pandemic, what they're going through. There's so many issues. And so just to not take it personally, react with love. No, it's not about me, and say, hey, are you okay? And, when you see someone that's hurting.
That's it. Exactly. Like, the definition of kindness is the quality of friendliness, generosity, and consideration. So it's a quality. It's an offering. And I think what is fascinating about it too, that you mentioned the pandemic, and we're all in this situation of kind of upheaval and holding space, of like massive, it's like the massive size of holding space right now, just waiting, and pain and grief and loss and illness and death, and all of these dark conversations. And the real thing that I think is fascinating here is the science. So what the science is saying, Jane, is that when you're kind to somebody, and when you receive kindness, magic happens. So literally, science is showing that our body, when we're kind, releases three chemical hormones.
Okay, this is going to be interesting, because I want to hear this. So this is what our second thing we're talking about is, what does kindness do for your brain and your mental health?
Right. Yeah. So it's so important when we think about mental health, not just our mental health, but let's look at peace in the world, like with the power of kindness here. So if we look at endorphins, serotonins, and oxytocin. So literally when we make a decision to be kind, like your situation, what you did there, that interaction, that beautiful interaction that day, you released in yourself the endorphins, which is like a natural high, the serotonins, which is the mood stabilizer, and the oxytocin, which is our connection, our love. Those hormones, those three hormones, they go from one person to another when you receive it. And then guess what happens? Because you have those in your brain, you're more likely, they actually increase the likelihood for somebody to relax and then be kind again to the next person. So it's literally known fact now that kindness is actually contagious and it doubles. So if we think about one small act of kindness, what we can do scientifically to help our own mental health, others' mental health, and also world peace. We're at Peace 360, so I might as well add that because that's the reality. And how the power of kindness, what we can do about it. So let's break it down. Sarah, so endorphins. So this one is the natural opioid.
So you're saying, Danielle, so what you're saying is when we are kind to someone, we will produce more endorphins?
You got it.
Okay, and what does that do?
So endorphins is the natural opioid. And so it releases natural opioids. So we know opioids. We hear about it every day, right? So it's interesting to think. So what it is that actually it helps our body fight pain and stress. So opioid, I mean, is a prescription. It's used on the street to battle pain, emotional pain and physical pain. And this is our body's natural ability. And endorphin is a natural opioid. And it's fascinating to think about that, right? So when you're kind to somebody, you're actually offering them, here you go, here's an opioid. Here's an offering of relieving your stress and pain. And it also just did that for me.
Wow.
So what an amazing offering, really.
But you know what's interesting now, if I go back to that moment when that man said his pain, and I could actually feel this inner feeling in my brain, and my whole body went almost like I could just feel this, I don't know, different feeling because of I connected with him and felt.
You felt the hormones.
Like, and I wanted to be kind to him. I was like, oh, I just want to, Wow.
And I think that's what's so exciting about when we look at kindness, it's not passive. It's not just something that's, oh, they're a kind person. Actually, that kind person is a shaman of today's life. You know, like they're actually doing the work that labs are doing. And it's amazing. So if we think about the next one in serotonin, which I think is something really fascinating. So somebody that's been diagnosed with major depressive disorder, I've been on, I'll disclose, probably 9 different antidepressants in my life. And so I've been knowing about serotonin and the recognizing, you know, you're just locking serotonins, your brain isn't producing enough of those and all of that. So, and it's interesting to think about that serotonin is a natural mood stabilizer. So of course there's labs out there that are looking ways to help people stabilize their mood. And some people definitely need that boost from the lab.
Okay, and so serotonin, just for me to be clear, serotonin stabilizes your
So basically, so it helps us with feelings of well-being and health. It also talked about it enables our brain cells to communicate with our nervous system. So that is what the job of serotonin, the hormone, is doing, is it's opening up those pathways of communication for our brain, our thinking self, to communicate with our nervous system and other parts of the brain. So serotonins actually help increase immune system as well. So there's a lot to be talked about, like those with depression are more likely to develop physical illness because their immune system is low. And those that have good, stable serotonins are more likely to live longer. So we know that it's a physical experience, and also it's a physical part. It's a biological function, right? So serotonins in our body are natural, and however, they're difficult to reproduce in the natural world other than through kindness. So they're finding that kindness actually increases our serotonins and offers that to another person. So again, when we're kind to ourselves, we're literally popping ourselves a little antidepressant, we're giving it away to somebody else. We're also helping those around us and ourselves stabilize our increase our immune system, give us a little boost. And so there are 3 main ways to get that from a natural state, from our natural world. Sorry, the fire truck. The three main ways with actually all of these, the two are diet and exercise is found to increase our kindness hormones. So that's important to recognize. Those are, scientific evidence shows our diet and our exercise matter that much in keeping us kind.
Okay.
And then the other thing with serotonins, which I found was interesting, is we can actually change our thinking and increase our serotonins. So the more kind thoughts we have, the more our body produces serotonin.
Okay, do you know what's interesting, Danielle? Because the way our brains are, and it's until you really become aware of how you think, it's easy to hold things in the past that people have done and have angry thoughts and thoughts about you're upset because of this and this. If you can learn to control your thoughts and switch to thoughts of kindness and joy and think,
Right.
wow, this thought that I'm holding against someone or maybe an unforgiveness, you can actually become aware of it and be like, no, I'm going to think of something kind, and you can feel your mood change. It's so powerful. So what's the third one?
Well, right. And it's so powerful to think about. So the third one must be, I think it's my favorite. I was first introduced to oxytocin, actually, I think when I was having a baby. So
Oxytocin?
I just
Okay.
remember something about that, but I didn't go too far into that. But I keep thinking about a baby. So I think oxytocin is something that induces labor. But also oxytocin is known as the love hormone. So this is when we talked a few weeks ago with your amazing guest who was looking at the connection.
Yes, my niece
Sarah, right? She talked about connection. Well, actually, her research shows that when we connect, so this is the love hormone, the connection hormone, increases oxytocins. And oxytocins also are super fascinating because they increase trust behavior.
Oh.
They increase our ability to interpret our mental state. So when we're low on oxytocin and love in our life, when we're low on connection, it's really difficult to interpret how our mental state is doing, to look at how we're actually thinking and feeling. And I think that's pretty powerful, because if we recognize that, if somebody's low on oxytocin, we might see them in situations that are really easy to judge, right? Somebody without a home, maybe has some addiction going on, really living in
Well, think about the man that I saw. He would have had a wife of 45 years. She's all of a sudden, she's gone for 3 months. His oxytocin would have been low. He's not getting love. He's not getting, she's not.
Right? Wow. And what you offered him that day was a connection. You offered him an opportunity to develop natural opioids to relieve his stress and his pain. You offered him an ability to stabilize his mood a little bit, like his son suggested. Go somewhere where there's kind people.
Yeah.
What a wise person. The oxytocin is interesting too, because we can actually get it naturally a little bit more easily. So by being kind, for sure, and receiving kindness, but through love, through connection. And also fascinating, there's a lot of research that's showing oxytocin can be found in the sun. So we all know how happy we are at the beach.
Get out in nature.
There's a reason why. And so yes, the outdoors, being in the sun, being kind to others. And I thought
well, Danielle, would it be the same if someone's lonely or is living alone, to having an animal, getting the love from a dog or a cat?
Absolutely, I would imagine so, because, and also caring for an animal, you're kind there, right? So you're giving that away, you must be receiving it back. I didn't see any research that showed about how the kindness hormones are received from pets to back, but I bet when we talk about pets in the not coming up, so we're going to really look deeper at that. So we can think about how kindness, the power of kindness, isn't something that's just on the surface. It is actually proven that when we are kind to ourselves and we offer it to other people, it spreads. And we are spreading hormones and chemicals amongst each other. No virus. This is the good stuff.
Yeah.
And this is the stuff that can actually heal. And I was super excited and really inspired, to look into this week. And at first I thought, Jane, kindness. Oh, what do we, be kind. Right? Of course. Be kind, of course. Now I'm like, actually, I think this is a responsibility we have.
Yeah. And you do have to make an effort, because we're not always in an up mood, or things in our own life can go, we can have a bad day. But when you're out, you just have to be aware and make an effort sometimes. And that day with that man, I had to make an effort to make a connection. And sometimes I think, thank goodness my girlfriend said to me, like, oh, it's not like you. And I thought, and I made the connection, because I don't know what would have happened after. But now we were going to end with talking about like when should we be kind and who should we be kind to. And when I find this really powerful too, because when you need to be kind to everyone. It sounds simple, but if you feel like you are a kind person, if you're like, yeah, I'm a kind person, then you need to be kind without judgment. You can't say, well, I'm kind to my friends and I'm kind to my family, I'm kind to my pets, I'm kind to people that are nice to me, but anyone that crosses me, I'm not, why would I be kind? No, if you're a kind person, if it's in you, then be kind to everyone always, like live it.
We need
You can't, there's no judgment. There's no judgment on race, on how much money someone has, what area they live in, what they look like, and someone that is angry or upset needs your kindness more. So it's everywhere and always need to be kind to everyone.
Absolutely, Jane. And if we want a better world for our kids and our grandkids out there, then we have a responsibility to recognize those that are low and to bring and heighten everybody that we can around us. And also, if we're concerned about our own mental wellness, then we have a responsibility for ourselves to practice kindness and to offer it to others. And it's medicine. And I really like what you said too about judgment. Right. There's an amazing book out there by the Arbinger Institute, the Anatomy of Peace. And it is a book that moved me and something, I hold dear, and my daughter and I often talk about it and refer back to it because she read it too. And it seemed to have a huge impact on her. It's a conversation that's ongoing. And in that book, they talked about how we often look or judge at people and we respond and react to them and say, we see somebody, that person, they don't deserve my kindness or whatever. And what that does is actually we're having a judgment on our own feeling there, right? Like we're judging that we actually, we have the right to judge somebody. So we're actually taking kindness away from ourselves. We're not being true to our own heart center. Our heart of peace deserves to be nurtured. And it actually is incredibly powerful to think that it doesn't really matter what situation is around us. We can hold space for our kindness. And I think that, the more that people take the responsibility of being kind, that it's pretty incredible to think of the power of kindness. And I really like these movements, the Random Acts of Kindness. And it was some websites that I came through was the randomactsofkindness.com, the Berkeley Center for Greater Good. There is a lot of really good work that's being done to show how the power of our relationships and how we treat ourselves and others is really the best medicine of all.
Yeah. And I think it is a practice because if you can create, just like being grateful, it's a practice. If you can create a habit of being kind so that when you're out in the world, you just go with kindness and you think, be kind, do something kind for this person. Or the random acts of kindness are amazing because when you give and someone doesn't expect it, and giving kindness with no attachment to anything, just because, like, you don't do it to get something back, you do it makes you feel so good.
And that's a good thing, right? It's medicine. Like if you're feeling down, think of something kind you can do. You know what comes up to me all the time? I don't know if you remember this or if it's still happening out there, but do you remember a few years ago they had that Tim Hortons, was it going through the drive-thru and paying?
Oh yeah, I do that sometimes. Hey, I love doing that still.
Do you? Oh,
yeah,
amazing.
It's fun to do it.
It's happened to me before, and I've done it too, where I pulled up and ordered a big order, and then at Starbucks, and they're like, "Oh, the person before you," and I'm like, "Wow!"
I know I like that too.
Mm-hmm. And I think,
do you know what? Have you watched? There's a show, and everyone should watch this. I don't know if you watched it, Danielle, but on Netflix is a show called The Kindness Diaries. Have you watched that?
No.
Oh my goodness. I'm going to just quickly tell everyone should watch The Kindness Diaries. They're 20-minute episodes. There's 2 seasons. And it's about a man. I think he starts in New York. He left a really big career and he decided to travel the world on the kindness of strangers.
I've seen something about that.
He starts off with it's like a motorbike with a side thing to it. And his first act of kindness he needs is to get gas. So he was at the gas pump asking people, he travels the world with no money, just on kindness. Can you give me food? Can you help me out? I have a place to sleep? And what happens in different countries as he travels around the world, what the kindness, it gives me goosebumps. That show is amazing. He had to ask a lot of people to get kind acts, because some people are like, no, I'm not sure. But the people that said, sure, come and stay at my house, or people that had no money said, my family will sleep on the floor, you can have our bed. Like in India, this family, like what people did for him. If you want to get the feeling of kindness in you, watch that show.
All right. I think that's a great weekend thing to do. Well, I think it's definitely a topic that I'm glad that we covered this week, Jane. And I encourage everybody to just do more kindness, not just one. I mean, really, let's make it a thing that this is who we are. And we're just
make kindness your legacy. Make kindness your legacy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Jane.
everyone, for watching. Thanks, Danielle.
And next week, we're going to spend 2 weeks actually taking a deeper dive into a little bit of a darker topic. We're going to talk about depression for 2 weeks. And I hope that people will make a comment about that and tell us what their thoughts around that are. And also join us. 2 weeks of depression coming up.
It's important to talk about.
It is important
depression for sure. Yeah. And feel free to share these videos. If you feel people need more kindness or need to hear this, share it. And then you can check out the blog at Peace 360 next week, because they will be doing a blog on kindness too. So, okay. Thank you. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Bye.